welcome back. Our next presentation is by ACC Premier. From reps to Reimagineers, a framework to unlock new roles in AI-embedded contact centers. I'd like to introduce you to Beth, the EVP of Customer Engagement and co-founder of Premier Response, also my BPO partner.
Thank you so much, Mike. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. It's that time of day. We're in the home stretch. Let's have the energy. Hello. Yes. Are you with me back there? Way back. There you are. Chris Jury over there. Okay. Thank you. So all day we have been listening to wonderful folks talk about systems and platforms. What we haven't really talked about are the people to help put those things together. And everyone says we can do it in a short amount of time. This is no diss to anyone, by the way, who's saying we can spin it up right away and all of those things. Yes, you probably can, but we don't need out-of-the-box solutions. We need solutions that make sense for your organization, and we need people to pay attention to those things. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. How do we take the people who work in the contact center space today and convert those people from reps to AI folks, or we call them Reimagineers. So that's what we're going to talk about. So let's see how this flows. Okay. So we're going to talk about new roles in the space. How do we identify what those roles are? How do you choose people for those roles? Give you some things to think about, and hopefully you'll walk away with some questions and some ways to interview for those roles, core competencies for those roles, and more solid footing or things to think about to actually deploy all of the things that you've seen and heard today. So that's my objective in this short amount of time that we have together. Good? Everybody so far so good, right? Yeah, what could be bad? Okay, let's talk about it. We're going to do a little level setting. I'm going to dispel some myths. I'm not going to ask you questions. You've been asked so many questions today, and everybody is sort of like, so I'm not going to go there. We'll talk strategy and then about the people. So let's debunk a couple of myths. You've heard this already a little bit in some of the conversations, but I think it's worth repeating that all of these things can make sense of your data, and algorithms cannot do that. You have to teach AI how to do stuff. And even though there's great software out there that says it can do that, only you know your businesses and what you need to accomplish. So you need to have people who are teaching the system. Somebody has to check this. You've heard human in the loop. We call it humology, the intersections of humans and technology. Very, very important. And so you can't load and go. You've heard this. I know this is a little bit repetitive, but it's true. It bears repeating, actually. AI can't make sense of data that's too broad. It just can't focus and function on things like that. Bad data in, bad data out. You've heard all of that. So these are things that we've been talking about a lot, but I want to get to sort of the core things of what we're going to be talking about. So myth 2. Cognitive AI, agentic AI can understand and solve problems the way the human brain can. AI does not have empathy, does not know empathy. AI has to learn how you want to treat your customers. And if you don't teach the system how to solve the problem, it doesn't automatically know how to solve the problem. I will argue that point with anyone who presented earlier today, because we know that to be a true statement. We've all lived that as you try to deploy things. So I want to show you this because this is really what I mean, and it's a good example of this. How many cats are here? Just shout out a number when you see them. How many cats do you see? I heard 4. I heard 8. I heard 9. 6. So, and we're the humans looking at this. Imagine what the technology is thinking and looking and trying to discern the difference between the cats and the croissant. There are 9 cats in the picture. A couple of them have 2 up there. I don't know where there's a pointer up there, but you see that. So just an example of how you have to teach the tools what you want them to do. Third myth. AI is going to displace all of our jobs. It's taking over. Things are happening. There's a fintech company called Klarna, and they got rid of 70% of their employees because they were deploying AI. They have now brought those employees back because they could not accomplish the work they wanted to accomplish. Someone just posted today on LinkedIn, they had a contact with Verizon. Anyone here from Verizon before I tell you what they posted? And so what they posted was, your response is being handled by AI and it may not be accurate. That's what they're putting out there to the customers now already. This is insanity. So we need people to be teaching the system, to stay close to the system. That's not how we want to deploy all this stuff. There's nothing wrong with new technology. We have evolved. How many of you remember these things? Who remembers the inner office envelope? One of my favorite things. I know I'm dating myself, but come on. That's how we would send information to each other. You'd put the stuff in the envelope, you'd write the name, you wanted to see who got this envelope before I did, right? That was always kind of a cool thing. Who's touching these things? And of course, switchboard operators, right? So all of these things went away. The typewriter, right, went away. But new and better things have replaced it. So this is just another piece in our iteration of how we live our lives. There's nothing wrong with AI. We don't need to be afraid of any of the things. We need to make it work for us and repurpose it. But there's also all this hype. It's moving so fast. And the C-suite saying, get it deployed, get it done, change the business, save money, save time, get rid of people. Slow it down. You're in the customer care space. Control it. Take ownership of it. Say, this is how we're going to make it work in our organization. Those are the kinds of things I would like you to think about. So chatbots, they're very cool. They're very interesting. People use them. Anybody use chatbots today? Are using bots? Anyone? Very few people are using bots. Bots can be your friend. It's just another way to interact with people. You can allow for self-service that way. People want options. Some people like that. Some people don't like that. But to have the choice is what people really want. You can program them to be very prescribed. You say, if the person says this, you answer that. Or you can make them understand what's happening. That's the agentic piece. And so they can go ahead and solve and answer things. But you're not even quite there yet. So that's a thing, though. That's coming. As you should use them. They're your friend. It allows you to offer 24/7 service when you don't have to physically be there. That's a way to save, but still have an elegant solution for people. So let's keep going. So we don't want to eliminate roles. We want to create new roles or repurpose roles. You have really smart people working for you. I bet you've had people who work in your contact center space who have said, I'm interested in marketing. I'm interested in training. I'm interested in IT. Have you had people like that in your organization and they make suggestions? Well, these people still have those interests. Why not help them be interested in the things that are coming or are here with AI for AI? So here's what you're going to do, or you should be thinking about new roles. What are the core competencies associated with those roles so that you could help people put people into those roles? How do you interview for those roles? And how do you evaluate that performance to know you have the right people? And will you have to hire from the outside? Maybe you will, but maybe you have these special people right inside your organization. And so let's talk a little bit about what these roles are about. And I've kind of divided them into three very broad groups. There are the designers. The designers are people who are your creators. They're going to take data and create workflows, help you identify new experiences. These are your creators, your dreamers. They think about how a customer experience and a flow and a journey. Then you have architects. These are your builders. Typically, your IT folks are building these things. They take a blueprint from the designer and create the flow, whether it's a call flow, a bot flow, a QA flow. Those are the architects. And then, of course, the analysts who identify insights and the analysts who get you that rich, deep information. All of these people, I'm sure, are in your company today. It's just a question of how do you identify what the roles are and how do they perform those roles? So let's talk about some of the roles. So if you are creating new QA processes, and we just heard about a QA process, you've seen a bunch of presentations today regarding QA, we need to rethink about how that works. So you have a manual process today where probably somebody is listening to a conversation and filling out a form and evaluating the form. And maybe you're looking at the caller experience. Were they nice? Did they solve the person's problem? Did they check all the boxes? Did they enter the right data into the CRM tool? And you're evaluating and, they get a 95 and great, you have a great quality score. Okay, that's great. But that doesn't tell you much, especially in today's world of AI, because today, as you've heard, You can get 100% QA, the system, you can teach it to evaluate those conversations, and it can look for so much more than, did the rep say please and thank you? Did the rep enter the right information into the CRM tool? But what was that conversation that the rep had? Did they really understand what that person was saying? What did the consumer say or the customers say back? And, customers don't speak in our lingo. They don't speak in QA lingo. And when they say, my soup is salty, or my soda was flat, or my soda tasted funny, that's what the consumer says. And then the rep is going ahead and coming up with, I have to code that as 1, 2, 3, 4 because that means flat taste and that goes to the quality department and blah, blah, blah. No. So you want to relook at this and teach the system to listen for the things that the reps say, listen for the things that consumers say. And if you're using the very great tools that are out in the marketplace, they'll allow you to create things like topics or categories so that when consumers and reps say words and different phrases, that generates a score. That's how things are coded and calculated. And you'll be able to see a much more robust QA process and see that QA form. So the QA architect is reworking your quality forms within your organization, working with your existing folks who do quality, or maybe it's your super reps who really know process and are really great performers. And together you're going to rework this form and recreate that experience because it's a little bit different. We shouldn't be building the QA process to see if somebody entered the proper code. We should be seeing if they completed the proper experience and were able to glean all of the insights that you could get from a conversation and solve for the customer and keep that customer loyal, keep that customer repurchasing if that's what they're doing, whatever that may be. And that's where the value add is. So that's what the QA architect role is. And the QA analyst role, the architect's building, the analyst is evaluating the forms and constantly tweaking. It's not set it and forget it. You build the form, you go over it again and again, and you pull out amazing insights from all of that. The other thing you can get, by the way, from QA with AI is you don't have to be surveying your customers all the time. We have survey fatigue out in the world, CSAT. We talked about that earlier this morning, all those surveys and things. You can glean all of those insights if you're using the right monitoring tools in an automated fashion. You can determine just from the tone of the conversation, the words that are used, the silence, the over-talking, the fast-talking. You will know the difference in that customer experience and be able to evaluate that. We did a comparison of AI doing QA and manual QA when we were tweaking the forms, and they were very, very close. They were very, very close. The thing that we had to change was the automated QA didn't pick up certain keywords that we added to the system, and then it was able to match it almost 100%. Kind of interesting. And it's not just for phone calls. It's for email. It's for any channel. It's for texting. It's for chat. So however you communicate, that can be evaluated in a 100% QA process. The conversational analysts and conversation designers are very interesting roles. So if you really wanted to redo your customer experiences and really think about what does a customer go through to do business with you? How do you keep them loyal to you? What are they experiencing? Are you a customer of yourselves? Do you call your contact center or write in or however you communicate? Who does that? Who does checks and is the customer in your own space? Anyone? Yes. Our keynote does it. We're going to hear about that. You need to be doing that. Please do that. Go through the journey. Go through the paces you put customers through. What is that effort? And the reason I'm asking you to go through that experience is because that will change the design of what happens. It will change the design of the conversation. You will build better experiences, better for your customers, better for your reps. And that's what the conversation analyst does, understands that experience and then designs new things. That's where bot design can come into play. So those are those roles. Another set of roles, and we talked a little bit about this earlier today, someone had talked about knowledge tools. Knowledge bases are very important. If you want people to self-serve, where are they getting the information from? You need a knowledge tool. You cannot expect your reps to know everything. They need information. Where is that coming from? Hopefully you have a knowledge tool or a knowledge base or knowledge articles. If you want to leverage AI properly, you need to have the right tool set to support that AI, to push out information, pull in information. So you need a knowledge manager. And a lot of times we have a lot of native knowledge. We go through training people go, I know what to do with that. This is question. They ask me this question all the time. I don't need to look at the article all the time. I know the answer. How many times does that happen? Does that not happen? Yes. I see some heads nodding. That is a true thing. So that's great. But if you're using AI doesn't know that. It has to pull from something. It doesn't have that brain that a human has to know intuitively what to do. So a knowledge manager can update with that native knowledge that's in their head. And then the knowledge architect builds all of that. And you can have knowledge tools that are internal facing and external facing, and you should, because that's how you want to be able to build your bot technology and be able to allow folks to self-serve. And I do think there should be something for everyone. I do think people still want to talk to each other, but people also want a choice. And if they don't want to talk to you, but they still want to connect with you, that's a good thing. And if they want to self-serve, you should offer them that opportunity. That should be available for everyone. And that's why we also have a role of a bot engineer, someone who can build a bot for you. If you ever have a crisis, anyone ever deal with a crisis, or we call it a high volume event? Well, if you ever do, where suddenly you're blowing up your contacts for some reason, why wouldn't you leverage a bot to be able to put information out there, pull information in, and not bother your business as usual? So that's why a bot engineer is someone to consider and to think about. And the last two roles that we're recommending that we have that are so important are the data analyst or the data miner and an analytics architect. So the data analyst, and I think Mike mentioned it before when he was talking, there are so many things that you are going to get from your AI tools, so many insights, so much rich data. What are you doing with that information? It's not just the primary reason they're contacting you, but it's the secondary and tertiary reasons. And maybe you have insights that you could share with marketing, with legal, with quality, with compliance, with anyone in your organization. You will have a wealth of information that you'll be able to share, but you need people who know what they're looking for and know how to tell the story. So once that data is bubbled up and synthesized, then you want to build on that and create reports that maybe pull in disparate pieces of information into one beautiful dashboard for the C-suite. This helps validate why you're using AI tools. This helps validate the journey. This helps validate the jobs that you have. So all of those roles are really important. Just a few more pieces of info. How am I doing here? Okay, we're good. So who does this job? How do you find the people? Just sharing some things to consider and think about. And again, humans and technology, they go together, humology. Here's typically what we think are core competencies for a solid customer contact center rep, right? You probably already interview for these things. You look for these skills when you're talking to people, for candidates to be great, delivering good customer service. Some of these, in addition to the next one, could be for folks in other roles. So where the roles before were more about on the service side of the house and a little bit of analytics and a little bit of service orientation and teamwork and all of those things, these core competencies for reimagining what people are doing are more abstract thinking, more technical in terms of building, problem solving, going through a particular mindset, a particular flow, attention to detail. So just, again, things to think about and interview for. And so I've prepared a few questions for you to think about, to ask people when you're interviewing them. And obviously you're going to be interviewing folks internally. We wouldn't just dub them, you are now the bot builder, right? You want to be able to interview, make sure you understand why they want this role, what they're going to contribute to it, and make sure they can do the job. And whether you're hiring internally or externally, hopefully some of these help you. So we always want to know skill-based questions to validate someone's skill set. Also thinking that behavioral-based questions really are the best predictor of performance. So always asking people to share examples of how they've done things to help determine, could they be doing this job? Not how would you do the job, but what did you do in those kinds of situations? So those would be behavior-based questions. You want to evaluate the answers to these questions. And so did you want to take a shot of that? I'll go back to that one. There you go. You're welcome. You may want to have an evaluation form, and it's either they have it or they don't. And then you have to decide, can I teach it to them? Could I get them sessions learning? Is there opportunity out there to go to school, to go to classes, to learn this work? Or do they have to bring it with them? What are the things that they have to bring to the job? What are the things I can teach them about the job? Very, very important when you're selecting folks for these kinds of roles. And hopefully, once you've done all of these things, you will have your own Tony Starks, and we'll call this Tony Stark a they, them. So it could be everyone. And there you are. Thanks for reimagining with me.